Hi, I'm David Culver, Vice President of Government and Stakeholder Relations here at Canopy. Thank you for tuning in to our inaugural episode of Under the Canopy, a new weekly conversation series where our team will cover the top issues of the day with prominent members of Congress, professional athletes, well-known television personalities, and cannabis industry influencers, among other newsmakers around the country. Thank you for following us, and I hope you enjoy. For our first episode, we have a very special guest, Representative James Clyburn from the great state of South Carolina. Mr. Clyburn has represented South Carolina's 6th Congressional District since 1993 and now serves as the esteemed Majority Whip in the U.S. House and as the chairman of the House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus crisis, which has certainly been busy the last few months. In his 27-year career in the House, Mr. Clyburn has been a champion for rural and economic development and a passionate supporter of historic preservation and restoration programs throughout the country. During our discussion, we addressed a number of topics, including the presidential campaign, the recent criminal justice package that passed the House, and our mutual admiration of Jack and Diets. And finally, we taped this discussion just prior to the passing of civil rights icon John Lewis. But be sure to watch Mr. Clyburn's public comments on his friend of over 60 years when you have a minute. It's an honor to have you all under the canopy. Please enjoy the discussion. Yeah, I see how it is. Well, I thought that it would only be fitting to start this conversation, of course, since it is 5:30 with a Jack and Diet. I don't know if y'all are sitting over there.
I look at on the, I think it's over on my, look where I was sitting. See if it's there. I want you to know, David, I'm not to be outdone.
Yeah, good. Well, I know that I still enjoy it. So I thought since I was seeing you, I'd have to raise one for you. But I'm sorry that we're not down in.
Is that empty? I sent for mine, but she told me I emptied it.
Well, you need to fill it up. You need to get more. So, Mr. Clyburn, I got to ask you about the presidential. I haven't talked to you since the primary in South Carolina, but that was such a pivotal moment, and it was so exciting to watch your role there. I just curious about any comments about that particular moment and kind of how you think things are going now.
Well, as you know, I'm a Joe Biden person, been a Joe Biden person for a long, long time. And I really got concerned that his campaign was meeting with some real difficult situations. He needed to break through in order to get the contributions that was needed, and it needed the contributions in order to break through. And the more I talked to people, the more I felt that something had to happen. People really wanted to be for him, but needed some reasons. And so we looked at it and decided to do the endorsement the way we did, because in talking to people, I could tell people wanted to hear something. They didn't want to get mixed up in the pretty big field we had. They needed, and they were inclined to be for Joe. Mm-hmm. So we did what we did in hopes that it would work. And as happens sometimes, these things work. And it worked pretty well. But I met with him a couple of nights before the endorsement and told him what I felt needed to be done in order for the endorsement to be effective. He was very receptive, and he did it.
I also saw a number of your comments about the policing reform package that the House passed that I was very interested in, and I know that that's sitting in the Senate now. Any comments on that package and how you see that playing out?
Yes, and I'm working a little bit trying to get the Senate to do something. Our Justice and Policing Act has been introduced in the Senate by Booker and Harris. Mm-hmm. And of course, Tim Scott has his Republican version. Now, I've been talking with Tim and with Karen Bass, and we were kind of hopeful that Tim will sit down with Kamala and Corey and come up with a piece of legislation that will allow enough Democrats to come on board to get to 60 so they can proceed.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean that they are going to produce a package that the House will agree to. But I'll tell you what it will do. It will help Jamie Harrison. It will help Cunningham up there in North Carolina, because now people are saying, well, the Democrats in the Senate are being obstructionist. They are preventing any debate from taking place. Let's have the debate.
Yeah.
Let's move a bill that enough Democrats will vote for to get you to 60, and the Senate will have enough votes, they'll get to 51. But then that means the Senate bill and the House bill will then have to go to conference.
Right.
And then we can work out our differences. And it may be that you can't produce a product that the House would agree to. And if so, the conference fails.
One of the things that the cannabis industry has been focusing on is the decriminalization of it. And I know that there's a lot in the caucus that have talked about that a little bit as part of the package, just because of the sheer number of arrests every year associated with it. I think we're close to 800,000 every year. So that's certainly something that we'll continue to talk about. And I don't know if your colleagues are talking to you about it, but I think it could be an important part of policing reform.
Absolutely. Decriminalization is a big issue with the caucus. Most of this is generational like anything else, but it carries the day. Decriminalization carries the day in the caucus.
Yeah.
Demilitarization of police forces, that carries the day.
Yeah.
So I think that when you look at demilitarization, decriminalization, I think these issues are majority issues with the Congressional Black Caucus, and I think is also the same with our House Democratic Caucus. You cannot have a bigger advocate than Earl Blumenauer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blumenauer beats up on me almost every day with that. I keep telling Blumenauer, I'm with you. Go beat up on somebody else.
He's a great ally, that's for sure. Mr. Clyburn, many states are experiencing severe budget deficits as a result of the pandemic. And we are hearing in the cannabis industry that many of them are looking to cannabis to help with job creation and also tax revenue for the state. I'm just curious if this is something that's on your mind, on your colleagues' mind in South Carolina.
Because I'm very interested in what you're doing and what we can do to make you more effective, and what you can do for us to make life a little bit easier for some of my constituents. I want to see small businesses coming out of this pandemic that was only dreamed about before. And I met this morning with some people on energy stuff. And my whole thing is a lot of people used to plant tobacco, used to grow tobacco, grow cotton, they're now out of business. We need to put in solar farms on these small, there was a time you could make a real good living with 25, 30 acres of tobacco. You can't do that today. No. But 25 to 30 acres of a solar farm might do it. Same thing with growing the products that you need in order to stay in business. And so if some of these small farmers, small landowners need to be involved in some of your efforts.
Well, we'd love to have that conversation, and we're already working in that space in hemp right now. So,
right.
They'll legalize. So we're all over the place in that front. And we've had difficult times in terms of the regulatory structure or lack thereof. But once the FDA does provide the regulatory structure, I think that industry is really going to develop.
Absolutely.
A lot of farmers in South Carolina and other states that were in tobacco that could transition to hemp. So I appreciate those remarks. I'd love to talk to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Mr. Clyburn, we got to be getting close to picking a VP for Mr. Biden. You have any thoughts on that? Any insight you can share?
Well, I got a lot of thoughts on it, but no insights I can share.
It's not going to be you, sir?
That's for sure. Absolutely will be me.
Yeah.
I have been saying, and I do believe it would be a plus in many quarters for it to be an African-American female, but I don't think it's a must that it's an African-American female. And I think even more that way today than I did even a week or 2 weeks ago. I'm reading the mail that I'm getting, the phone calls I'm getting, what people are saying to me on the street. The only must to them is to win. And I think most people I talk to, they want the vetting to take place, they want the polling to take place, and they want to get the person that will do the most good for the ticket. And somebody that Joe Biden would be comfortable with, but they certainly want it to be somebody that the whole country will be comfortable if something were to happen and they would need to ascend to the presidency. So that's the only thing that I'm really saying publicly about it. But I am making my views known privately.
Good. Well, maybe if I make it down to Santee in August, we can have private moments to discuss this important conversation.
Yeah, by that time, yeah, I might be able to tell you something the night before.
We're probably out of time here, but I'm really proud to have all of you as my friends, and appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day to chat. And I hope to see you all in person. And maybe even next time we get together, we could have some cannabis and Coke. You never know.
I don't know if I'll join you now, but thank you so much.